Hey, it's Drybear, and today I bring you 5 important tips that will instantly improve your game in Diablo 4. These are new tips that you may not have heard about that you may just be missing out on while you're going through your Season 1 journey. But first, you should come hang out with me on my live stream. I'm live every single day on twitch.tv/Drybear. If you don't come hang out with me in the community, the next time you're walking somewhere, you're going to be blocked by a large group of very slow walking pedestrians. The first tip is a massive time save that I'm not sure exactly when this came online. In Season 0, we were unable to do this for the longest time, and it seems like this may have slipped into the last hotfix that we got before the weekend started, and it wasn't in the notes, no one mentioned it, but I think some engineer or some programmer just slipped this in here and no one was told about it. But you can actually now salvage your sigils at the blacksmith. So if you go here to your inventory, you go to the blacksmith, and you see you have a sigil here that you don't want. I just crafted a really cheap one just to show you. You can hit the salvage button at the blacksmith, click on the sigil, and it will give you the sigil powder. This is now available at any blacksmith, and you can do any sigil. So you don't really have to go to the occultist. So when you finish a nightmare dungeon, you can clear it, you can sell all your gear to the vendors, you can salvage the legendaries you don't want, and then you can also just turn and salvage the sigils that you don't want as well, that you know you're not going to run because you don't like the affix or you don't like the dungeon. Huge time save, saves us a lot of running over to the occultist in between nightmare dungeons. And it also makes the very clean setup over here by the Tree of Whispers even more valuable. Which, if you don't know about this hotspot, it's pretty sweet. So I talked about this in one of my previous tip videos, but if you're looking to do nightmare dungeons quickly, this is one of the most efficient locations you can go to get things done in between, especially now, because you teleport to the Tree of Whispers, and right next to the portal is a vendor where you can sell all of your gear, and then you can come right down here is a blacksmith. You can salvage now your sigils, as well as any of the legendary gear that you don't want, or yellows if you're farming veiled crystals, for example. There's a stash for you to dump stuff, and then you can go straight into the next nightmare dungeon. It's literally a stone's throw away, all 3 of these very important items. And now with this change, you can just go to the blacksmith and salvage your sigils. So that's really cool. The next tip is for all the people that are still working on their Renown. I have finished my Renown for season and got that out of the way, so I don't have to worry about it for another 3 months, which is pretty cool. But there is an efficient way to finish your Renown much quicker if you didn't know about this tip. So unfortunately, you do have to do your waypoints yourself, the area discover yourself, the altars of Lilith yourself, the strongholds yourself, and then side quests, obviously. But there are 115 permanent dungeons in Diablo 4. They all give renown based on what zone they are in, and you want to complete them to finish out your codex as well, which is reset with the season. However, there is a very easy way to get this done much quicker, and that is when you are in a party. If someone inside your party, even if they're across the entire world map, if they complete a dungeon, you will still get Renown progress, and you will still get Codex progress, even if you're not in the dungeon. So that means that you can make a group of 4 or however many people. You're welcome to come to my live stream and ask people in chat. People have been asking to form groups and getting this done. You can also come to my Discord as well. People have been forming groups there and getting this Renown done quickly. But if you make a group of 4, split up the dungeons in 4, and then you all go and do separate dungeons in a group at the same time, you'll be able to get all of your Renown for your Renown progress on dungeons done in a quarter of the time. It'll take you 75% less time to get all of this done. Now, you won't get any loot or experience because you're not in the instance with that person, but when they finish the dungeon and you're in the same party, you will get the Renown progress, and you will unlock whatever codex power is there if you haven't unlocked that before. So this is a massive speed up for getting Renown done quickly if you can find a group of people that also need to do Renown at the same time. By the way, I recommend doing this. So this is my progress for Renown in Season 0 and in Season 1. It's, to me, the one that has the least headache and is quite efficient. It's something that it at least feels the best to me. What I do is I make sure to finish the first 3 of every zone so that I can get the maximum amount of skill points, and then I just focus on leveling. I forget about Renown completely. I go all the way to World Tier 4, and then in like levels 60s or early 70s, then what I'll do is I'll set the World Tier to World Tier 1, and then I'll go and just speed run all of the dungeons. The thing here that I see a lot of people doing is they'll either do the Renown too early and then get burned out. So they're trying to do the Renown to level. It's not super efficient leveling, and so you end up seeing that everyone's way ahead of you in levels and you start getting discouraged and you stop playing. This might have happened to you. Or you end up trying to do it all on like world tier 4 because in your mind, a lot of people think this way. I want the ancestral drops. I still want to get XP. So why would I waste the opportunity to get valuable loot when I'm doing the Renown anyway? And honestly, Renown is such a headache. I would much prefer do it significantly easier and significantly faster, get it done and out of the way, and then go farm nightmare dungeons and hell tides and world bosses for actual loot than to try and min-max everything all at once and drive myself crazy. So that's the way I prefer to do it. What's cool about this is if you get to like level 70 and do world tier 1 on the dungeons that you're doing, if there's enough level difference between you and the mobs that are hitting you, they can't interrupt you when you're doing objectives. So what you can do is run past every mob. You can open prisoner cages. They'll be whacking on you the whole time. They can't stop you. You can pick up keystones. You can open gates. You can open doors. You can hit the switches inside the gauntlets. Because they're so under-leveled, they can't stop you from doing it. And you can clear dungeons in a minute or two, go through all the dungeons in the game, especially if you're in a group, and be completely done with it and not have to worry about Renown for another couple months. The next tip is another tip for Season 1, utilizing the map. There is actually a pretty good rhyme or reason for the way the Malignant tunnels are set up on the map. And most people don't know this even exists in the game right now, but you can actually go to the Malignant tunnel on the map, hover over it, and you can see on the second half of that tooltip there, it tells you what the outgrowth will always be inside of this Malignant tunnel. So if you do Fissure of Malice, there will always be a Wrathful Invoker spot and a Devious Invoker spot. So if you're trying to farm specifically Devious Hearts, you can go to Fissure of Malice. You can go to over here to the Ravening Pit. It will always be brutal. You can just go around, find these tunnels. It will always be brutal for Dindai Hollow. You keep looking around and you find more of these tunnels. You can just hover over them, look at them. If you do Boiling Wound, it'll always be devious. And so if you need a specific one, you can target farm by going straight to these and opening up the Invoker. And the Invokers are actually very easy to get, just the basic ones. Wrathful is pretty hard to get, but the three Invokers here drop all the time in Nightmare Dungeons and in the open world. You can get a bunch of these and you can target farm getting specific ones. If you're looking for farming just a vast amount of hearts, Ravening Pit is still one of the best dungeons you can do. Just go inside, run around, killing only the elites that have the Malignant affix on them. Drop them, kill the heart, exit, reload game, go back in, do it again. And you can get anywhere from 2 to 4 hearts repeatedly doing this over and over and over. It's very quick, it's very efficient. The next tip is that boosting is still viable in the game. They tried to target group farming and in general tried to limit boosting as much as possible, but they did actually walk this back. So I see people talking about how boosting is dead, you can't boost to characters anymore, no longer available, and that's just not true. You still can boost characters because they walked back the change on the level requirement. So what they had it in the patch notes when they first launched 1.1 was they made it so that the world tier requirements for the capstone dungeons had to be a minimum level. So it was like level 40 for the world tier 3 capstone in Kyovashad, and it had to be like level 60, I think, for the other one. They walked those back. So you can actually just, if you want to boost a friend who's trying to get into the season and you're already far along in the season, you want to help them get into the game. And I think this is good and healthy for the game because there are people that will only play the season if they can get boosted. They don't want to do a leveling part. They just want to do the gearing and the end game part. So you can make a level 1 character, have someone clear the world tier 2 capstone for you, and then clear the world tier 3 capstone for you. And you can do this at level 1. You'll get a couple levels out of this. You'll end up getting 10, 15 levels from this. And then all you have to do now, instead of boosting inside of dungeons with a 3-level bonus, even though the levels are capped, is just go and do Nightmare Dungeons. The Nightmare Dungeons are actually incredibly efficient for this. Not only will you still get the bonus at the end of the dungeon, but you'll still be granting experience to everyone around as long as they're in the same instance as you. So have someone with some Nightmare Dungeons boost you up to world tier 4 by clearing the capstone dungeons at level 1. Then you can go into a Nightmare Dungeon and just stand at the entrance while they run and clear the Nightmare Dungeon. And when they finish it, you'll get the bonus as well. Run a new key, and you can just keep doing that over and over. Keep in mind that there is still a limit on the maximum number of levels that you can gain XP from. So if they're like, I think 10 levels higher than you, that's when you stop getting XP as someone being boosted. So obviously if you're fighting like level 80 mobs and you're level 1, you're not going to get the XP as if you were killing them at level 80. So you will have that, but it's still incredibly fast. You can boost someone in a matter of hours, like in a single evening. You can get them into working world tier 4 so they can start playing with you if you'd like. So the process there is to clear the capstones, unlock world tier 4, start doing like level 21 tier nightmare dungeons in world tier 4, and run that until they get to about 70, 75. Make sure they have gear, and you're good to go. The last tip is for people that may have forgotten because they spent their time on Eternal. They were above, they were like deep into world tier 4, and they just forgot that this was a thing in the game. And they're just now leveling up again, going into the mid to late game, and they're wondering what's going on. So there are minimum level, like there's secret, unannounced, it's not written anywhere. You can't find it in game. It's just something that we figured out, and we just know if you're looking for specifically sacred items in world tier 3 or ancestral items in world tier 4, there is a minimum level required before they will start showing up on vendors, and before they will start coming out of the Obel Curiosities vendor as well. And those levels are level 53 for sacred. It won't show up in a vendor until you're level 53. So if you do your capstone for world tier 3 at level 45 and you go to a vendor, you're not going to get any sacred items that show up here. So just keep in mind, you're pushing to level 53. And then when it comes to the Obel's vendor, you won't get any sacred items until you're level 53, drawing from that vendor as well. And the same thing goes for Ancestral at level 73. So if you're level 70 or 69, or you do your capstone at 64, you're not going to get ancestral items from your vendors or from the Obel Curiosity vendor until you're level 73 and above. So you may want to save your Obels if you can, so that you can use them at that point in time, so you're not completely caught out of luck. And then also if you're looking to buy from vendors to get good loot that might progress you, and I recommend doing so because you can get some very good, I've gotten some of the best items, best in slot items that I can find on vendors just by checking every hour as it rotates. So make sure you're paying attention to that, and pay attention to your level as well if you're trying to get sacred or ancestral items from the vendors themselves. And that does it for this video. 5 tips that you needed in Season 1 for Diablo 4. If you found value in the video, leave a like down below, leave a comment for the algorithm to help this video get seen by more people, and I'll see you on my live stream. If you enjoyed yourself today, leave a like down below. You can support me and my work on Patreon and view Patreon exclusive content, link in the description. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next one.